I'm supposed to say something here. Test, 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 test. Hi, this is Charles Ray Dawson, associate broker, residential sales manager of ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 92. And this is also the second take of this video because I just went 10 minutes recording without the little green light on, which I just noticed when I grabbed the mic for emphasis, which is pretty good because I was getting disrupted by phone calls during that whole thing and had a couple off the top rants, but now my notes are all scattered and everything like that. But how are you guys doing today? So it is November the 3rd right now, and we're recording this, less than a week out of the midterm elections, and people getting really excited about that, but there's not a lot of effect that these midterm elections are going to have on real estate and property, so we're not going to go into any great details on them. One thing that I do want to point out is that there's a Proposition 130, right, which is going to affect how taxes or property taxes are levied on people who are disabled veterans, widows, and widowers, and we'll see how that works out for that. But I don't care which direction you vote on that, as long as you vote educated. So do a little research on that before you decide which way you want to go. Let's talk about the news, right? About what's really going on. The feds came out on Wednesday. They made their pretty much made the change that we all expected them to make. No real difference there or anything like that. Everybody's forecasting they go up 75 basis points. They did, so that's a 3/4 of a point interest rate hike, and that may or may not filter through to the lender sides. Remember, there's other dynamics that actually change that, but from a company, a Knock, all right, who for some reason has me on their mailing list, and they send me their rate schedule. They are now calling, as of yesterday, a 30-year rate is going between 6.75 and 6.848 on their loans right now. So that's an interesting number to have, an interesting number to quote. They also do that with a 1 point. All right, what that means is that you're going to be paying 1% of the loan amount that you borrow to buy your rates down to that. So a lot of people you might remember from last week, I was talking about how a lot of very smart people are saying we might be seeing rates go back down to the 5s by the end of this year and the beginning of next year. Those fundamentals that their argument was based on are still the same, even with this rate hike. Deals primarily in how they calculate inflation. But something I wanted to point out that I saw earlier this week, it was a chart, and because I was watching it, I didn't have a chance to screen grab it. But they were talking about the mortgage rates and how we're coming out of this, this 2-year period of incredibly low interest rates, right? And we did have a run before that back in 2010, right around in there with low interest rates because they were really trying to recover the real estate market. This last bit of low rates, a lot of that had to do with COVID, right? So people who bought during the COVID years, 2021, they really did make off pretty well, all right? Like I said, do we have this huge tranche of owners who are basically never ever going to leave their houses? We're not going to know that for about another 5 years, but it'll be interesting to see how that happens. But for first-time home buyers, people who have to buy and stuff like that, who are choking on these current rates and stuff like that, remember, a good agent has ways to work around that. One of my clients tagged me on a post on Facebook this week, all right, where somebody basically came out and on TikTok or Instagram or something, say what I've been saying. Use seller's concessions to buy down your rates. And he just, tagged me on this, says, Ray, is this true? And my first thought was, you're obviously not watching my video because I've only been talking about that for the last 6 months, right? But yes, it is true. Okay, you can buy down these rates. These are very common things that people used to do all the time back in the day before these really super low interest rates. We're returning to the old ways over here. Agents know how to do this. Call your agent, call your loan officer. Now, remember, when you talk to your loan officer, sometimes you'll get a loan officer who's not too, they're really set in the way they want to do. They got one product, and that's all they're going to try to fit you into that product all day long. All right, you can shop rates, you can shop loan officers. Don't tell Jeff I just said that. So another thing that came up this week on the Cromford Report is that long-time viewers might remember about a year or so ago, I was having a conversation. People were just fixated on the fact that institutions were out there buying houses and turning them into rentals, right? And I kept trying to point out to them, they're not the primary reason for lack of housing, and they're not the primary reason for house prices going up, all right? Interest rates bringing more buyers into the market, right? And my main argument about that was a institution or a landlord, even if it's a mom and pop landlord, they're still using the house for its primary purpose, to make a home out of it, right? Some family moves in there and make a home. Some individual moves into that place and makes themselves or herself a home, right? That's the purpose of housing, right? It was the second home buyers, right, and the Airbnb buyers, and people who actually utilize those services, right, who were really driving things up. Now, that was I got a lot of pushback on that, and I realized that part of the reason for that pushback is I was making a class argument about economics. And what I mean by making a class argument on that is that you have to make a certain amount of money to be able to go on vacation, for one, and to go on a vacation and Airbnb the house, right? You're up here. Right? The people down here need a place to live. You're taking their house. They're taking the house that could be their home so you can go spend a weekend in Scottsdale or wherever it is. And if you think, I can only afford, Goodyear. I can only afford Glendale. I don't care what happens to Scottsdale, properties. But actually you should, right? Because the people who suddenly can't afford to buy in Scottsdale, well, now they're buying in Tempe or, Chandler, any places. And so it's that old trickle-down theory, and you know what's getting trickled down on people. So, but I noticed that people would really push back against that, and they were like, no, wait, Airbnbs are fine. The Airbnbs are fine. And then I look at their Facebook thing, and it's like, oh, here's us in an Airbnb in LA, that kind of stuff, right? So hope you waved hi to the homeless family you just drove by, all right, on the way to your Airbnb, you bougie. I censored myself there. I didn't have to cut that line out. So, but now we see these numbers are starting to fall. So home purchasing by investments have fallen by 14% between second quarter and third quarter. That's good. All right. Percentage of home purchases as a second home fell 30%. That's better. iBuyers, we've talked about that before. They're no longer interested in their business model is basically falling apart on them right now. All right. They've declined their purchases by 33%. And the percentage of homes as primary residence have gone up from 62 to 70%, up by 13. This is good. All right. Houses and, I don't know what the percentage is. I'm pretty sure there's some smart economist out there has come up with what percentages of home ownership is good and healthy. I don't think 100% would be good and healthy because, to be honest with you, some people are not in a position to be homeowners, and they really do need to be tenants. And we'll have a conversation about that at a later date. But, that's unfortunately we had to have this downturn in the market for this to happen. And I'm not saying that that's not going to reverse immediately once we pull out of these little doldrums that we're in, but it's a good thing to see, right? Just sort of reaffirming the fact that, interest rates aside, it is a pretty good time to buy right now. All right, let me show you these numbers and I'll explain to you why. All right, and we're going to have a talk about these numbers too. So over here on the number side of the house, all right, November 2nd, 2022, actives this week are 20,436. That's actually down 197. All right, first time we've gone down in quite some time. Probably just seasonality right now. People do not like to sell their houses around the holidays, all right? New houses coming on the market, 1,831, up 2. Remember, we were down last week. All right, pendings are at 1,075, down 10. Under contract looking for backups are at 648, down or up 50. Contracts with a buyer's contingency for sale is at 70, which is down 5. Closings last week, including the end of the month, is 1,675, and coming soon to an MLS near you is 519. Our demand right now is at 77 on the Cromford report, and our supply is at 82.3. So once again, we have more houses than we have buyers out there. All right. Now, remember, we want to see a 10% number spread between these two. All right, that's only about 5 1/3. But when you hit that 10%, then we actually start saying across the board we're looking at a buyer's market. Other numbers I wanted to show you right now: Cromford report numbers for individual areas. This is the index, so it's a combination of this number here and this number here is how they generate the Cromford report number. All right, you see everybody went down, sliding more towards the buyer side of the equation. All right, Fountain Hills is down, but they're still leading the pack at 150, making that still a seller's market. All right, Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, those are all still seller's market, not as good as they're used to. Cave Creek is the only balanced market, along with Phoenix. All right, because remember, 10% slide, we're looking at anything between 90 and 110. All right, and then from there on out, we start looking at everything in the buyer's market, with Queen Creek, Buckeye, and Maricopa at the bottom. All right, so people looking for deals, those are your deal areas. All right, you could probably actually include Surprise on that. All right, but once again, these are out there properties. I think the closest one you'd actually get into what you can really say are more the inner core area. You see Peoria coming at 70.9, still buyer's market. Let's see, and then we go Goodyear's out there. Mesa, that's almost like Glendale of the East, but you can see up there, Glendale still showing just in what we would call a buyer's market in Glendale. But Chandler, Phoenix, Cave Creek, all these areas pretty much balanced out. So, like I said, we are still looking at numbers going down. And we're going to expect to see this. This is the winter doldrums and everything like that. So we're going to be coming, you're going to see a lot of stuff slowing. All right. I always tell all my agents, I hope you're closing in September, because that's what pays for Christmas. All right. And you're just not going to see a lot of stuff happen on the market. So, but this is where we start thinking, us in real estate. All right, we need to start thinking about what we're going to do next year this month. All right, December's pretty much a wash. All right, but what are your plans and intentions? And for one of my plans and intentions I'm doing is I actually want to revamp the chart. All right, now, I'd love to have some feedback on this thing, because honestly, I think I'm the only one who's interested in UCBs and CCBSs. All right, I think most of you guys just want to know active, pending. You might not even want to know what closes. You might just want to know how many houses are for sale right now. All right, how many houses are coming soon to an MLS near me? All right, these two numbers I'm definitely going to keep in here, because I think that's a really easy way to explain to people what the market is, where we're going, and everything. But I want to hear from you. Is there anything else you want? Is this not complex enough for you? Do you want more numbers, more widgets? All right, I can go more. All right, but I'm thinking about narrowing this down quite a bit. So we'll see. Like I said, comments below and everything like that, and we'll see what happens there. Other thing I wanted to talk about real quick is about the 3 things I've been wanting to talk about for the last 3 months have all popped up in my head. With this election coming up and stuff like that, it's really going to be your local boards. If there's anybody out there who's got a mayor running right now, city council, school boards have such a dramatic impact on the value of your house. It's ridiculous, right? Buyers who are starting families, the good schools are a major part of that, right? So I got a text the other day from somebody who was running for the school board, all right? Didn't think anybody running for the school board to have that big of a budget to be able to, afford these little text surveys. But text survey came out, and I looked at the guy, and it was a page and a half of absolute nothing. All right. He had every buzzword in there if you wanted to signal to your tribe, hey, I'm one of you. There was nothing about policies. There was nothing about concerns. It was all holistic. This and that and the other thing. Nothing fundamental, nothing serious, right? The biggest vote, I would say right off the top of my head, that you could have that will increase or decrease the value of the house is that freaking school board. All right. So pay attention to those things. Don't just like, oh yeah, I'll just vote for the top 5 or whatever like that. Right? It's easy to do some research on these people. Do a little bit of research the night before. All right, that's usually what I do. I create a little cheat sheet and I walk into the voting booth because I still like going to the voting booths. I still like chatting up the vote, the people there who are working the polls and stuff like that. And, hey guys, I even like wading through the mob of people with their silly little signs, right? Sometimes if I got time, I'll get involved in a conversation on the way out with them, all right? Had some really good, fascinating, fun conversations like that. So, but do that homework the night before. All right, figure out, who best represents your values, right? And vote, right? And vote local. Vote early, vote often. And some of you, vote even if you're dead because we know you're going to. That was a joke, people. So I'm going to wrap this all up. Thank you very much for watching this. It is raining right now. It might be raining later on this weekend, so you know what I say about driving into still water. All right, it's definitely going to be too cold. But just because it's too cold does not mean there's not still water in your pool. So watch your kids and pets around that. Work your circles. It will keep you saner in the long run. And you guys have a great weekend.